constant larger than 3, let's say 3.1. That is what we did earlier. Right, so 3.1 n squared is always going to be larger than n squared. And then we say that, yes, it is going to be some constant times n squared. And so essentially it is big O of n squared. Right. Now, does everyone understand why we use 3.1 and not 2 to figure out that it is big O? Perfect. Now comes little o. Little o means that for any constant larger than 0, it can be 1, 2, 1.1, 3.1, whatever constant, that equation is always going to be larger than our current equation. Does that make sense? So essentially in our case here, when we said that it is 3 n big O of n squared, we had one particular constant 3.1 and higher that made sure that this equation always grows larger than our current equation. But this, there also was one constant, for example 2, that grew slower than our current equation 3n squared. Right? So there is not, so this big O does not satisfy all possible constants. However, if we said that with some constant n to the power of, I don't know, 3 is always greater than 3n to the power of 2 or 3n squared. So Cn cubed is always going to be greater than 3n squared. Does everyone agree with this thing? Apart from 0, everything else is true, right? So then we can say that n cubed is the little o complexity of n squared. So then we say that little o, and this is the smaller o, this equation follows the n cubed complexity. That is, for any constant, my equation will always be greater than the equation in question. So that is the difference between little o and big O. So the dominance equation matters. So Fn dominates Gn if F is much larger than G, where Fn is the equation in consideration for our big O of value, and Gn is our considered equation for our algorithm. So that means that F is much slower. Basically, that means that F takes much more time to run than our current equation G. So an example would be, we have, let's say, two equations, n to the power of A and n to the power of B. If we know that A is much larger than B, then as n tends to infinity, we have this limit, right? We have this limit where limit of n tends to infinity, where n of B divided by n of A tends to 0, because n of A is going to be much, much larger than n of B. Because A is larger than B, we can also divide both the sides by n of A, n to the power of A, that becomes 1 divided by n B minus A. And since B is smaller, we have A equals to, this limit tends to 0. Right? Okay. Similarly, let's say that we have this particular complexity, n of A plus little o of n of A. So when I say we are adding little o, that means that we are adding a group of functions multiplied by some constant, does not matter what, but a group of functions within this realm of functions of n to the power of A. So when I say n to the power of A plus some function that grows with n to the power of A, then you know that it does not dominate n to the power of A, right? Because when we have little o, remember, little o is only guaranteed when our little o function f of n grows much larger than our current function g of n. So our limit should always tend to 0, where g of n is the function in question here, and f of n is what we are approximating this function with. So if f of n grows much, much larger than g of n, then the limit when n tends to infinity will be 0, right? But in this particular situation, n of A is our function that we are trying to approximate, and n to the power of A plus little o of n of A is the function that we said that this is the approximation of this thing. But if we look at this limit, we see that it n to the power of A plus little o n to the power of A becomes basically little o of n to the power of a, because both of the n squared plus big O of n squared is again going to be some constant times n squared, right? So if we combine them together, it is again big O of n squared. So let's talk about this thing in more detail. So let's say that we have the function n squared, and say that I add some function from the family of function that is big O of n squared. That could be anything, and we know that that could be some c times n squared. Now, can we say that this is equal to big O of n squared? Yes, is that equation continuous? Supposed to be 1 a minus b. Yes, you are right. Actually, this is going to be a minus b. Vamsi, you are correct. Just post it explicitly to all of us so that we can see. But yes, you are correct. This equation has some issues. Just post it publicly. Thank you so much. Okay, coming back to the equation. So yes, eventually, Mohammed, Lokesh, Yaswanti, you guys are right. Eventually, this is the same equation, because we can say that if this is some equation that is c times n squared, right? So that becomes n squared plus of some equation c times n squared. Then we can just say that this is essentially c plus 1 n squared, right? Again, some constant. I don't care what that constant is, but that eventually becomes big O of n squared. Similarly, when we say that something is n to the power of a plus of little o of n to the power of a, the same rules apply, and this becomes big O of n to the power of a. So essentially, we are talking about two infinites on the limit side. So that essentially becomes limit to 1. And when we say this means that the limit tends to 1. And whenever the limit tends to 1, that means that for some constants, our equation approximation is larger. For some constant, it is smaller. And little o does not allow that. Remember, for little o, for every constant, it has to be larger. In essence, limit gnfn has to tend to 0. So when we say that n of a, does n of a little o n to the power of a dominate n to the power of a? It does not, because there are constants that fluctuate the matter. Does everyone understand why this dominates and this does not? Look at the equations carefully and let me know if you have any questions. I need you guys to understand why the first equation dominates and the second equation does not dominate. Where this is a typo, it should be a minus b. You can say, I don't understand at all. That is fine with me. I'm not grading it. Even if some of you understand, if any of you do not understand, tell me, I will explain it again, because we are going to play with limits a lot more.
Could you go back to n of a plus little of n n to the power a plus little o of n to the power a?
Yes. Okay. So let's take this equation, right? You're talking about this particular equation, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So when we say that it is this equation n of n to the power of a plus the little o of n to the power of a. So we know that for any constant, little o means that n to the power of a will dominate. So we can say that this entire equation can be stated as c times n to the power of a. Do we agree? For any c greater than 0?
Yeah.
Right. So then this equation here basically becomes limit for n tends to infinity, where this equation basically becomes, and I'm going to copy this over here, that is n to the power of a divided by some constant c, that is c, let's say n to the power of a, where c does not matter because it is little o, it is going to be any constant. Now, if we try to solve this, what do we have? We have n to the power of a here and an n to the power of a here. We cannot abstract out any into the power of a in this situation, the best we can do is we can say that this is essentially uh, uh, both tends to infinity, and then we have infinity divided by infinity in the layman sense. This tends to 1. Do you agree about that? So if the numerator and the denominator both are infinity, then it tends to 1.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes. So if something tends to 1, that cannot be little o. Because that means, remember that the condition for little o. The condition for little o is that your limit has to equal 0. So if something tends to 1, that means that there is some constant c for which n to the power of a times c is larger and n to the power of a times c1 is smaller. We can see this clearly here. So in our case, the equation is n to the power of a, right? So we can say that, let's say that c equals to 0.5. In that case, we know that 0.5 n to the power of a will grow slower than our equation, right? And
Yeah,
if
yeah.
c equals to, let's say 5, then in that situation, 5 times n to the power of a is going to go much faster than this thing, right? Obviously.
Yeah.
So that means that there are some constants that I can multiply that can make my bounds either upper bound or lower bound, right? It surpasses that bound. So little o does not allow that. Big O says that I can have some constant, any constant, let's say 5. That if I have any constant for which the equation grows larger, I am set. But little o says that it has to be every possible constant. We cannot have one constant that grows slower, one constant that grows larger.
Regardless of constants.
Regardless of constants. So in this situation, if it was n to the power of 2a, then it would be a different matter. We can divide both of the sides by n to the power of a, and we would have been left with 1 by, okay. So let's say that I'm approximating it with n to the power of 2a. So let's say little o n to the power of 2a, right? In that situation, what can we do? We need to figure out the limit of this thing. Well, we have two terms, that is n to the power of a and c times n to the power of 2a. So let's forget about the c for now. We can divide both of these sides by n to the power of a. So divide both sides by n to the power of a. In that situation, what do we have? So can someone tell me, if I divide both the numerator and the denominator by n to the power of a, what do I have? Yes, because n to the power of 2a is essentially n to the power of a times n to the power of a. Exactly, it is 1 divided by n to the power of a, right? So if I divide both sides by n to the power of a, I'm left with 1 divided by n to the power of a. Where
Which
n
tends to 0. Yeah.
Yes, it tends to 0. If n tends to infinity, it becomes 0. Then that is a little o solution, because no constant can ever approach that particular condition, or that n to the power of squared or 2a. Right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Irrespective of the constant. Perfect. Any other questions? Anyone? Stupid questions are allowed. I really do not care. I mean, as long as you understand. I mean, that is what I usually say to my classes, that you should always make a habit of asking one stupid question a day.
Dr. Bose, I have a question.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Actually, right now,